Today on the channel, I'm gonna be filling up this giant fermenter with beer. That's right, I'm gonna make 220 liters or a little over 58 gallons of pale ale because I've got a big celebration coming up and I need to make sure that the beers are a-flowing. So let's get stuck into it so I can show you how I've made the biggest batch of beer that I've ever brewed. Okie dokie. As promised in the quick video I just posted to you guys the other day or yesterday or whenever the hell this one gets out, this is the new system that we're playing with at the moment. So right now we've got loaded up in here 160 liters of water. I've already added my salts and my phosphoric acid to drop the pH and adjust for water chemistry. I've got a couple of bags of grains that I need to get milled on the grain mill over here, which is really not cut out for crushing that much grain, but here we are. At the moment, I'm just getting everything up to temperature. It's sitting at 55 degrees Celsius right now. So the way that this works, in case you want me to explain it again, is I've got the pump down the bottom, which is pumping pumping water up and through past the element, past the rim system. This element must always be covered or I'm gonna scorch it and absolutely destroy the thing, which is why it always has to keep pumping up and through here so long as I'm using the element. But I also do have like a sprinkler ball type thing here so I can more gently distribute liquid on the grain as well once I actually start mashing. So this has been heating up for like 2 hours. Honestly, this element is underpowered for the amount of water that I'm running with here. I'm gonna have to rethink that at some point, probably add a second element under the water line somewhere. And as long as water's moving, I shouldn't run into scorching problems, but that was my concern, to be honest, which is why I avoided it. But it might become necessary if I plan on using this thing to do big batches of beer like this. I would like that second element because this is taking ages. In any case though, this is gonna probably finish heating up in like half an hour or something, and then I'll come back when I finish that, crush some grains, throw them in, and I'll show you what it looks like to make 220 liters of beer. Temperature is heated, it's sitting at 65 degrees Celsius. It's time to start adding in the grains, and I've got a lot of grains to add in. I'm definitely gonna get my power drill because this is gonna take me an absolute lifetime if I was trying to hand mix. I've got the drill, nothing left to it but to get stuck in, right? Let's do it. Let's do it. I'm just gonna go ahead and dump this whole tub in. By the way, I'm using about 39 kilos of grain total. So it's a lot. It's a lot. But fortunately, because the actual surface, not the surface area, but the width, the radius of this thing is so much larger than what I'm used to working with, I actually think I'm gonna be more efficient than I think because I've got a larger false bottom in terms of width, so I'm less likely to have an issue where I get the stuck sparge and I don't have as much efficiency going on. So I actually think this is gonna mix a little easier than what I think it will in my head, or at least I very much hope so. Apologies for the noise, I've got to do this one way or the other. The other thing that I have that I'm considering using is I do have a impeller that's primarily more for distilling, but it's like a big mixer that I think I might attach and give that one a shot to make sure all these grains are truly mixed up and there's no dough balls. Okay, crisis averted. This is a good future learning moment. I don't know if you can see me or not, but what actually happened was the very bottom tube that collects from the bottom filter through to the pump was blocked. That's literally it. There was just a little clump of grain that refused to move through. I thought I was gonna have to pull apart the actual pump itself, which was gonna be a massive ball ache, but it was literally just one silicone tube that got blocked and it made everything else stuck. So I'm gonna have to address that when I redesign this thing a little bit. I need to use some bigger diameter tubes because that can't be happening. That's so bad. Anyway, let's get the rest of the grain in here and I'll stop lollygagging and yeah, then we can make some beer. Okay, we now have an impeller in action. So this thing, an agitator in action. So this thing is sitting down into the tank. I'm gonna, not quite sure actually how I can open this up to show you. Let me grab the camera. Come with me. And I'm gonna show you inside here what it kind of looks like. That thing is mixing away. So we've got the recirculation going on to keep all the temp, oop, that's a lot of steam, to keep the temp where it should be. We've got the agitator up top, keeping all the grain in circulation. We can start to see some beautiful color change now. It's turning into a lovely golden color for this pale ale. So I think we're fairly good to go. I'm gonna let this ride for a little while, guys, and then once we have done 1 hour of mashing at 65 degrees Celsius, I'm gonna set this thing up to automatically start doing a mash out at 77 degrees Celsius. Then we get to the fun part where we've got to scoop out all this grain and do a little bit of a cleanup. So I'll come back to you then. Okay, and I'm back. Now this is where things all start to get a little bit complicated / could get potentially very messy. I've got 3 different vessels here. This one is the hot liquor tun. That's holding all the sparge water. This here is the mash tun. It's hit at 77 degrees Celsius, so mash out is finished. And I need to transfer that into this because I need a holding vessel. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use the built-in pump that I've attached down here to pump the high gravity wort into this holding vessel. At the same rate, I'm gonna pump over the hot liquor tun sparge water over top of the grain bed, which hopefully won't disturb it too much, so we get an efficient sparge. Now the idea is I need to be pumping this into this at the same rate that the mash tun is pumping out into the holding vessel. And once I got all the wort out into the holding vessel, then what I'm thinking is I don't think this is quite enough power to actually get to a boil with properly with this much liquid, so I'm gonna split it half and half. I'm gonna go half in here, and boil them separately and just see how we go. This is a learning experience for everyone. So I'm gonna stop the heater now, let the element cool down for just a moment before I actually switch off the pump to that one. I'm now going to gradually switch things over here. So I'm now pumping wort into here. So now I need to start pumping this one over the top and into there. Is it working? It is. Brilliant. This looks like, don't unclip on me now. This looks like utter chaos, and it kind of is a little bit. I'm gonna get a twisty tie for that before things come undone, but I believe everything is working as it should be at this current moment. You live, you learn, I suppose. So just to show you what's going on a little bit closer, this is the Brewzilla that we always use with a few extensions on it. Got a whole bunch of hot liquor in there. That is then pumping over and across into here. To show you what that looks like, that's pumping over into there. Ow, that's hot, that got me. Then this is pumping through the bottom pump here, up, so it's coming out of the filter valve here underneath the false bottom, that comes down through into the pump, and now this pump is being fed over to the left, as you can see with the ball valve here. This is pumping up, over, and into the storage vessel, which is kind of hard to get you a shot of without disturbing that too much and losing a bunch of wort. I don't know, maybe you can see in there, it's all a little bit steamy. Anyway, I think things are going okay. So I will finish doing this and then come back to you when I start boiling. Well, that's why you need to be careful. I have scorched the bejesus out of my brand new element, which really sucks, but nothing left to it but to roll up the sleeves and put some elbow grease in, because I need this thing to heat up the worts. Unfortunately, I can't wait to run it through a CIP. I've just got to dunk it in caustic and scrub. Damn it. All right, that was a lot of scrubbing, but there it is. So hot caustics, PBW, and very, very strong solution of Stellar San, also hot, does the trick. I'm gonna use this today. I'm probably gonna do another overnight soak because there's like tiny little specks and stuff everywhere, but I need something to heat this stuff up. So it's good enough for now. It's good enough for now. Well, more things went wrong. So after scorching the shit out of the element and spending ages fixing that up, I went inside to go measure out a bunch of hops because I need heaps for this beer. Completely forgot about this, overflowed on the collection reservoir that I was using to collect up all the extra wort that was pumping out, which is now filled to the brim, which I'll show you now. And yeah, made a huge mess, spilling everything all over the floor. So I think I caught it just in time to be able to just hose it out without actually having to mop the whole floor. I just kind of power hose everything outwards, and I hope that I got all the sugar, but if I get a million ants, I know why. Now it's time for one of the great advantages of having a system with a grain exhaust door out the side. God damn, I did that up tight, didn't I? Probably unnecessarily tight, to be honest. Once I can get this undone, I can scoop out all these grains and get the money shot like all the big breweries do, which is pretty cool. At least, well, hopefully this is one thing that works properly today. Hey, there we go. Nice. Now, I've got my big grain scoop. God, it's really like... Ah, damn. I should have done that a little bit more gently. Ah, just another mistake to add to the list, huh? God, how do they do this without making a massive mess? I am struggling. God damn, that's a lot of grain. That is a lot of grain. All right, I'm gonna throw a bunch of this out, empty it, come back and do the rest. Okay, so the hop bill reads out, and the hop bill is a total of 1,125 grams. So yeah, over a kilo, that's like, what is that, 2.4 pounds of hops, something like that. So 50 grams of Northern Brewer for the bittering, not a huge bittering edition because there's plenty of stuff that's gonna come in later. 340 grams of Hallertau Miffelfer, 255 grams of Racal, 220 grams of Amarillo, 180 grams of Pride of Ringwood, and 80 grams of Topaz. All of those hops besides the Northern Brewer, all the Aroma hops are going with 3 minutes left in the boil. The part that I'm gonna have trouble with is this being a new system. The part I don't understand about it is how quickly it can cool down. So that's why I'm going 3 minutes left in the boil, because I'm thinking if there's a bit of muck around and if things don't cool down as quickly, a couple minutes is not going to hurt it as much as if I did like a traditional 10 or a 15 minute hop edition for a pale ale. So I'm trying to give myself a little bit of buffer for mistake, basically. And I don't mind if this is on the less bitter side, just being a pale ale, but I will mind if it's way too bitter, because that's just not what I'm going for. And there is a lot of IBUs that could happen for every minute longer that I take. So I did the numbers through Brewfather, and if at the moment this is 25 IBUs, if I do a 5 minute addition, so if I'm delayed by 2 minutes, it turns into 45 IBUs. So the IBUs go up real quick for every minute of delay of mistakes that I make. I know I can cool it down fairly quickly on the big one, but even the big one, cooling down that much thermal mass will take a while. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm gonna put all the hops in potentially at 0 minutes, knowing in my head that this stuff is gonna actually take a little bit of time to cool down, longer than I would normally take to cool down. So I think if I do a 0 minute addition and treat it as a 3 minute addition, that kind of will work out just about where it should. At least I hope it will, because then the other worst case scenario is there's just no bitterness in this beer, and I don't want that either. Oh, by the way, for all the different hops and everything, I'd like to be able to tell you that I very meticulously thought about exactly how much hops I want on each of these steps, but honestly, it was just about what hops I had on hand. That vaguely kind of worked with my pale ale recipe. So we're flying by the seam of our pants with this one here a little bit. By the way, guys, I totally forgot to mention, because Odin made an incredible mistake and didn't put audio on one of our videos recently on the NEPA Brew Day. We were meant to announce it, but we do have new merch. So the tagline of our channel has always been beer, banter, and bloody good times. And it occurred to me that I actually haven't done any merch that says that. And I think it's more universal than, you know, having our like Flying Wombat Brewery or our little logos or our little wombats or anything like that. I think beer, banter, and bloody good times is something that just homebrewers in general can get around. And these are, I tried to make them as cheap as possible. They're one of the cheaper shirts on the site. So if you want to grab one, this is the embroidered version, which is, you know, just a little nod to the community and the love of beer making, good friends and good times. I just checked the gravity on that boiler on the Brewzilla, 1.035, that one's 1.045, which means I'm actually exactly on pre-boil target of 1.04, which is convenient. Happy days. Okay, we are now at boiling, and I just finished burning my fingers because I was literally about to do this shot, and then it was boiling out and over the lid, and I had to grab the thing, and I only had one hand, and I was burning my fingertips, and it doesn't matter because now the cops will never find me if I commit a crime because I don't have any fingerprints left. In goes the bittering edition. So I've split it up, so this is 25 grams of Northern Brewer, total 50, split batch, you get the gist. In this one goes. Gonna start my clock now, and then I'm gonna come back. 5 minutes to flame out, get everything set up, then I'm gonna throw in the hops. I'm still umming and ahhing about if I throw them in at 3 minutes or 0 minutes. I'll decide later. And it's now time for me to add my hops. I'm not gonna bother reading out what they were again, there's just too many, but I will tell you, it takes 2 pint glasses to carry them all. Let's pop that up there somewhere. And cup number 2. I've got like a minute or 2 until my alarm goes off. I got 4 seconds until my alarm goes off. So I've just added those hops. I am gonna start a timer. I'm gonna let this run for 1 more minute after I need something to stir with because that hop has just made a bit of a hop cake sitting right on top of that spider. So it hasn't actually gone in yet. I'm gonna give this thing 1 minute here under the full boiling conditions. And oh, I see, that's why. The hop spider's full. I've never filled this thing up fully before. Okay, I need both hands now. Mistakes have been made. Oh God, I almost dropped it fully. Ah, where's the hooky thing? You know what? I've done a boo-boo. I've done a boo-boo. I've now got, no, stop. And okay, well, I've lost it. The spider's somewhere down in the depths. Damn. God damn it. Okay, that has been, what, about 1 minute now. I'm gonna unplug this thing, move it over there, because those hops are now well and truly inside. And then I'm gonna start cooling this thing down. Let me get to it. I need to work quickly. Okay, I believe things are working. There was a bit of chaos for a minute. I've got a bunch of stuff stacked up from throughout the day, and I tripped over it and almost tripped into this, and man, oh man, I am not fit for OH&S work. But transferring now into the plate chiller. Plate chiller is coming back into the unit. This is cooling everything down. I've already switched off the heat source. Let's see what we're at the moment. We're cooled down to 97 degrees Celsius so far. I'm gonna cool this whole thing down until that is reading like 80 degrees Celsius, at which point I'm happy enough that there's little enough isomerization that the bitterness is not gonna keep building. And then I'm gonna transfer over into the big fermenter. But at the moment, it looks like a success. At the moment. Don't wanna speak too soon. And I'm trying to figure out how to sit this a bit better, but I can't seem to find a way. So I'm gonna let that run for a little bit. But I think we're good. This is cooling, plate chiller's cooling. Awesome. I think we're sweet. And then once this is done, I can start to worry about boiler number 2, because this one is looking mighty fierce at the moment. That thing is really, really cooking with gas. So I've got to start worrying about that one shortly. Anyway, back soon. Okay, the boiler number 2 is sitting at 99.3, 99.4 degrees. We are so close to hitting 100 that honestly, I think it makes no difference, because at that temperature, the isomerization of the hops, of the alpha acids, is basically gonna be the same. It's really not it's really just more about hitting a number for the sake of hitting a number by this point than it is actually about it having any effect tangibly on the beer. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw in the bittering hop addition, and I'm just gonna go and run it all in this thing. I was going to originally finish cooling that, then transfer that to the tank, then put that into that, because what I have learned is that this rim system is slower. It's been a full hour of boiling, because I'm now cooling that thing. They started at the same time. It's only now just gotten to boiling. So this thing is definitely slower, I think, due to being on a rim setup. more so than it is because this one's 300 watts shy of that one. I don't think that's the thing that's breaking the camel's back. I think it's definitely the way that this one heats up. Anyway, bittering hops. 25 grams of Northern Brewer is going in. In they go. Boil has started. I'm gonna start my clock and then rinse and repeat. Oh yeah, so by the way, the list of events that have happened today, it started even before I started brewing. I had to go out to the shops to get stuff to make the ginger beer that I believe by the time this comes out, I assume the ginger beer will be out. I'm not sure how our editing is gonna go, all things going on, but I needed to go get some stuff to finish the ginger beer. So when I went out to do that and I left these things heating up, I had my motorbike out on the driveway, and when I came back, the motorbike was on its side, petrol was leaking everywhere, the stink of petrol was all through the house. It was a whole thing. It started there. Then it became the stuck pump that you would have seen at the beginning of all of this. Then it was, why is the thing scorching? Then it was, why is nothing moving through? Then the pump became stuck for the umpteenth time. There was so many stuck pump problems because the grain was slipping through the grain bed type thing. Then I scorched the bejesus out of the element. Then I spilled spilled wort all over the floor, which had to be hosed out. Then there was something else. I can't remember what it was, but it'll come to me later. If I thought the brown ale brew day was bad, this is definitely worse, but it's also the scale of things makes it so much worse than that. And I want to open a brewery. What I am noticing with this is that it looks like it doesn't get past the boiling point of whatever liquid is running through it. Because this has been sitting at 99.5 for a while now. And I have a suspicion I'm heading into Scorched territory. You look right into it. I don't know if you can see it. It looks slightly tinged brown on that element, and maybe that's just a little bit of sugar caramelizing on it, and it's not scorched, but it's like, I don't know, close. And then if you look over at the control panel, it just does not move from that 99.5. Ooh! I mean, apparently now it does a 0.6, but the point is, I don't think this thing actually can get past the boiling temperature of the liquid that's running through the system. Okay, it does look like this thing is now coming out at yeast pitching temperature. Coming out of the plate chiller, it's popping out at 24 degrees Celsius, which is good. So I think I'm ready to go ahead and start transferring this into the tank. It's right at the top of this thing, so that's 24, 48, 48 plus 65, how's my maths? That's like 113, I think. So it's 113 liters of beer sitting here. I'm gonna start transferring this. And then, I was just thinking, I need to go show you the money shot, but I don't have a sight glass at the bottom of the giant fermenter. So, sorry guys, can't do that. But what I am gonna do now is figure out what the gravity is. What are we working with here now? Quite curious to see what the boil off rate looked like, because obviously I understand the boil off rates of my units very well, very intimately, because I've done so many batches on them. But it's so rare that I'm doing a batch this large, so I have to assume the boil off rate is hurt significantly by the amount of thermal mass that it actually has to heat up. I'm gonna give that a second to cool down. Yeah, I'd have to assume so. That is 1.041, and this one started at 1.035. Interesting. The boil off rate did not change. So does that mean the relationship between no, but that can't be right. Unless I got an incorrect gravity reading the first time, which is actually far more likely. Because if there's more thermal mass to heat up, the boil off is gonna be slower. It's like if you put more water in a pot with the same amount of gas on the stove, there's gonna be less evaporation than there would be if you put less water in a smaller pot on that same heat source. You know what I mean? You get me? You get what I'm saying? Yeah. Okay, once this is finished transferring, I'll come back when that one is ready to do its flavor and aroma hops, I suppose. Okay, now ready to add the final hops for today. Same again, going in, just definitely making sure I'm putting my gloves on this time because this stuff is coming out piping. That's one. Oh, it hasn't fully come out. And 2. All right, 3 minutes. I'm gonna start cooling everything down. And here we have it, guys. So that brew day was an effort and a half. And apologies, the final clip where I go and pitch the yeast. I'm a muppet and I didn't check if my audio still had battery. So my mic died on that clip, which is why I'm in mute. But Odin's gonna put me in post-edit and show you what I'm doing. But I believe I ended up using about 100 grams of Oz 05 yeast, which is basically just clean fermenting ale strain yeast to round out the brew day. The beer took about a week, realistically, probably a touch less than that. It fermented really fast, fermented around 24 degrees Celsius, and here she is. And the flavor tastes like beer. It just tastes like beer. It's got a touch of crystal, a touch of like caramel slash kind of residual sweetness in there. It's very dry, very clean finishing. There's a kind of a little bit of general malt sweetness, kind of a touch of honey character you get from like Pilsner malts. And the hop profile is subdued. It's there enough to show you that it's beer, but it's kind of floral, kind of fruity, kind of a little bit earthy. It's kind of just this weird amalgamation of hoppy character. It just tastes like beer, honestly, though. There's no like big one thing that like defines what this beer is. It's just beer, flavored beer, which is exactly what it's meant to be. And now I've got a massive job ahead of me to can all this stuff up, which you can see behind me. This is about a sixth of what I have to do. So this is 6 slabs of beer here. I've got a lot more of that to go because I ended up with about 210 liters of beer on the nose. And that was after dumping out a bit of trub. I dumped about 10 liters of trub. A lot of trub on a bigger vessel. Should have anticipated that, but it did not occur to me how much trub there would be. It just kept on coming and coming. But here it all is. It all worked out. It is a tasty beer in the end. So that's 220 liter batch of beer done in a very, very small brewery. Cheers all, and we'll catch you next week.